Welcome back to Sunrise today. Senator Risha, you were talking about whether or not it takes away from some impression that people have of the Senate. But do you agree with those who think that the Senate at the moment is distracted? Because even some of the key functions that they wanted to ask of the customs, they eventually got distracted from that as well. You think that they eventually are?
Obviously, there was a lot of distraction with the custom issue. The question about the CG custom, custom general, whatever, the CG of customs, trying to go on the street to be checking particulars of vehicles that have crossed the borders, certainly is a total aberration. There is nobody who would look at it or who wants to go through all that kind of hassle or headache. And I don't think there's anything under the act setting that Customs Department of that would have empowered him to continue to do that. You see, at the end of the day, he's now getting the people to live with a lot of discomfort. When you're traveling on the road, somebody stops you, start asking you for your custom paper, for this, for that. These are jobs they should have done at the point of entry. If they failed to collect the duties and they know that someone did not pay a duty, you can go to that person. But when you start doing a wide chase around the streets, they will just become like those people setting roadblocks everywhere.
How does the Senate begin the process of redeeming itself and getting itself back on track?
Oh, well, again, things will settle, because nobody likes the kind of vibes coming out now, either from the public or even the Senate. Now, when people begin to talk to their senators, you call them, this is not good, this is this, this is that, we can do better, and you interact with your people. At the end of the day, changes will begin to come. We don't expect, things are really down a little bit now. But the Senate President just came out now that he didn't import any vehicle. Obviously, the importer is the one who tried to evade custom duties. So the Customs Department should hold that one responsible, not him. I'm not here to make a case for anybody, but when you look at, we should face facts and let us treat facts as separate from what we think is actually wrong.
But is Senate fighting this because some of theirs were caught up in all of this, and not they're fighting it because the people say, no, we don't actually like this policy?
No, I understand there are some senators that have done some unimaginable things, like writing to the custom that they should clear some containers without due process. And now, you don't put yourself in that kind of position. When you are involved in that, you have allowed a lot of suspicion. You've allowed a lot of doubts in your ability to carry the responsibility that office entails.
So for those ones, they are fighting for their personal interest,
exactly,
not for the Nigerians.
People like that, if we're exposing people like that, and if this is a fact, if you put something down in writing, it is a fact. It's different from not finding out the facts and just say this person has done this. So, but for those involved in such rackets, they are the ones giving the customs the kind of, the confidence the man has that, okay, you people have been doing a lot of, you've been asking me for so much, you've been doing this, you've been interfering in my business and all that in my job. So if he got upset, even though he needs to be very careful, because the Senate, as a third arm of government, is very powerful.
Do you think that,
even though they cannot, they can't sack him.
Do you think the issue of the CGC has been concluded in the Senate?
No, I don't think so. I believe the letter from the Attorney General that came without due consideration to the workings inside the Senate. Now, if the Attorney General had asked somebody, a senator, to actually raise a point of order, I think that order is maybe 53, 507, that any matter that is in court should not be raised on the floor of the Senate. But there's a caveat there. That caveat says, in the opinion of the Senate President, if the Senate President feels that somebody's interest might be affected by discussing an issue that's already in court, then he can step it down. Okay. So that is the procedure. And if the Attorney General has maybe spoken to somebody in the Judiciary Committee or one of them that will help us raise this order, and let's buy some time for this. Usually, the right to debate in the Senate, to make motions, to raise motions, to make bills, is exclusive to the National Assembly.
Another man who is also, at least in the eye of the Senate, is this man.
Days after a DSS report was cited in the rejection of acting EFCC Chairman Ibrahim Magu's nomination by the Senate, a new paradigm-shifting report offers insight into the underlying politics of anti-corruption. Presently, functionaries and institutions charged with waging war against corruption are currently being investigated for alleged corrupt practices. It is against this backdrop that an attempt at building consensus transformed into an impassioned presentation of differing perspectives. The EFCC boss says law enforcement institutions must be apolitical.
The monster has become more daring, where those that should take it are sometimes busy engaging in tough wars. We cannot continue to allow our corporate and individual interests to pull us into different directions where the well-being of our people takes the back seat.
Former Labour leader Adams Oshomole says to some extent behavior tolerated by Nigerians is behavior approved by Nigerians.
The then Governor CBS Sanusi alleged that about $20 billion was not accounted for. I was shocked that there was not a national protest.
Battling ongoing asset reclamation proceedings, senior advocate Mike Ozekome alleges institutional hypocrisy.
That some of them are corrupt, and you turn the other eye, and once a person decamps from one of the other political parties to the really political party, and that person suddenly becomes cleansed.
In the complexity of Nigeria's anti-corruption war, what is evident is an increasingly thin line between fighting corruption and forces fighting each other, determined to protect themselves at any cost. Ajuri Engilale, Channels Television News.